Jake.
I'm Tom.
We are Velocities in Music. On this podcast, Tom and I discuss a murder of topics pertaining to modern music, including artist deep dives, genre deep dives, and annual new music wrap-ups. And that is what brings us here today. Woo! Because 2017 is drawing to a close in the last couple days of 2017. At the time of this recording, it's snowing outside. A lot of snow.
Yeah.
And we're in Boone, Iowa, coming to you from Boone, Iowa to talk about all of the best songs that came out in 2017. Or at least Velocities in Music's favorite songs.
Our favorites, yes.
Before we get started, you can help support Velocities in Music. Subscribe to Velocities in Music on your favorite podcasting device to automatically get our latest episodes sent to your device for your listening pleasure. Want to help Velocities in Music grow? You can. Velocities in Music was founded on the idea of creating an enriching discussion about modern music. Please share Velocities in Music with the music enthusiast in your life. Together, we can move music discussion forward. Tom.
Yes.
Earlier today, we wrapped up our favorite albums list from 2017. And one of the things that we noted was that there were, this year for songs, the songs weren't as impactful.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way? Like now having gone through our music, our
I
songs
felt a
list?
little bit better about it going through the songs list because there were some really great ones. I think what it comes down to for me is that the songs were primarily from albums that I really liked.
Yeah.
Like last year, I felt like there were a lot more one-offs of great songs from albums that I was kind of lukewarm on.
Right.
But there's still some really good ones here that I'm excited we're going to be able to highlight.
Right. And one of the things that is just kind of the nature of doing podcasts about your favorite albums or favorite songs list is you can't hit everything. So there's going to be, what I love about the songs list is it allows us to hit on some albums that came out last year.
True.
That we wouldn't have otherwise hit because they just didn't make our top 30, but we still really like them. So.
Yeah, and I mean, because you got to consider, we listen to a lot of albums, so, top 20 is a pretty small snippet of that. When really the top 100 albums are all ones that we liked a lot. And the same goes for songs. One other thing I think worth noting here, Jake, is the songs list is always even more of a different beast than the albums list. Because I think with the albums list, there's more overlap between the two of us, right? But with songs, if on average there's 10 to 12 songs for every album, there's a lot more opportunity for our list to be completely different.
Absolutely.
So, there are going to be some songs on our top 30 list that both Jake and I picked at some point on our list. And there's going to be some that maybe only Jake picked or maybe only I picked, but were important enough to the individual of us that in the Velocities in Music collaborative hive mind of Jake and I, that it all kind of came together and still needed to be represented on this list. So some of those we might call out as such, but I think we can both agree that there are no songs on this list that either of us hates.
I agree with that.
It's just that there's some that might be heavily more weighted towards one of us.
And I would say that's a difference this year is that I feel like you have your set of songs and I have my set of songs. So at least in our top 10s we're pretty different. But overall, you might have picked, like you were saying earlier, I liked songs on the same album.
Right.
That you picked different songs.
We just had different highlights. Yeah. So it's still good to highlight something from them. So
ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Top 30. Here we go. At number 30 on our list, we have a song called The Moth by Manchester Orchestra. The Moth comes from the album A Black Mile to the Surface, which was on Velocities in Music's favorite album list. And this is the only Manchester Orchestra song that cracked our favorite songs list of 2017. But there were a number of songs on this record that both Tom and I really liked. I think The Moth is where it crossed over the most, which is why this song is making our list. But this is just a great representation of just the extremely high quality indie rock that Manchester Orchestra put out on this record. The Moth, you hear this really interesting guitar melody that kind of drives, and then you have this big epic chorus that's very, very layered in sound, and then they drop it back down in the verse. Very good dynamic contrast, and just, like I said, a great representation of a great album.
One thing that I love that they do in this track that's kind of a cool technicality is they got a little bit of polyrhythms going between the drums and the rest of the instrumentals. If you listen to the drums are in two. He's just kind of going kick, snare, kick, snare. but the guitar is more in 3, so you get things only lining up every couple of bars for that. And I always like the offset that creates, and the way they work the vocal rhythms into that creates a really cool sound, but still just a very good, palatable, strong rock song. Our number 29 song of the year is Mother by Idols. The song is intense. Really, the whole album, Idols Brutalism, is intense. This is one we didn't get to capture on our best albums list, but it would have been just a little ways down on the list out of our top 20. This is an intense, post-punk, kind of hardcore punk sounding album. You can tell they definitely take a lot from bands like The Fall, so like post-punk, but taking that more into an actual aggressive hardcore sound. And with Mother, the thing I love about this song is just the overtly political, but still kind of abstract lyrics. And then the fact that in the chorus, the guy's just shouting motherfucker. That's it. Yeah. That's all he's got.
That's endearing,
but
you know?
It is. Like, it just...
we can all relate to that. Sometimes I just run around shouting motherfucker.
Yeah. It just has so much energy to it. And the way that the song builds, the way that he does the vocals, just performs them a little bit differently between each verse, between each chorus. I just find this song to be a refreshing burst of energy that I kept getting stuck in my head. I loved this track.
At number 28 on our favorite songs of 2017 list, we have Total Entertainment Forever by Father John Misty. Father John Misty.
Father Elton John
Misty. This song sounds like Elton John. It's acoustic guitar, piano, and drums. And there's some other keys and more layers in the sound that kind of make this bigger, especially in the chorus. But this song and really this album is all about Father John Misty lamenting his very like patent pending vocal style.
Yeah.
Which is he has a beautiful voice actually, and I think that's why I found myself liking the entirety of Pure Comedy much more than Tom did.
Yeah.
Is I really just liked Father John Misty's vocal presence and his performance on the record. His lyrics were polarizing, and this song actually, I remember when we did our wrap up, I highlighted this song when I quoted lyrics. I mean, it
Taylor
opens
Swift
with
line.
Yeah, betting Taylor Swift every night in the Oculus Rift. Like that is supposed to grate at you. It's supposed to get you thinking and aggravated, and that's the whole point, because you have this really sultry kind of almost just kind of chill, colorful soundscape, and then these lyrics that just are off-putting, that force you to think a little bit, and that dichotomy is so interesting.
That's the point. A really truly great song can only have its lyrics interpreted in the context of its music. And this is one of those. And I know that I famously did not like this album, Jake. I was not a fan of it. But there were a couple songs that I really liked from it, and this was one of them, along with like Smoochie and a couple others. But this one I really liked, and it's for the reason you just highlighted. You know, the whole idea is that he's taking this grotesque idea of total hedonism and entertainment above all else, and even to the point of over-sexualizing and objectifying, and making it sound normal, normalizing it, because that's the direction that our society is headed. And I think that the statement that makes, along with the fact that this is just a very lush and beautiful song to listen to, is really what makes it deserving in its spot on this list. At number 27 on our list, we have the song Arabian Heights by the Afghan Whigs. The Afghan Whigs album In Spades was a really great album from this year. It had several track highlights. Arabian Heights is the one that Jake and I have picked for this list. It really sticks out as just having a nice, frantic, almost techno-ish beat in a rock context. Greg Dully's voice is just wonderful as always. He's a tremendous vocalist, but there's a lot of edge in the guitar. It's rock, but it's almost got this kind of dancey feel, almost like harkens back to like Led Zeppelin's Dancing Days, almost in a way. But it's just got this unrelenting energy that drives the song forward. Once again, a rock track that you can really bob your head to. That's a little bit different for the Afghan Whigs, but I think works really well.
I think the vocal performance here was what really sold it for me, because the guitars, the whole composition, everything is really loud and intense, and it's just like a fun rock song from that standpoint. But what really sells it is just the vocalist is just belting it out,
gives it that edge,
and you can hear that edge in his voice, especially in the chorus. It just really sold it for me. At number 26 on our list, we have Near to the Wild Heart of Life by Japan Droids.
And it got me all fired up to go far away. And it makes me drink from the sound of my singing.
Near to the Wild Heart of Life is the title track off of Japan Droid's third record, and in our favorite albums list, we listed this album and said that this album really showed how Japan Droids were maturing as an artist. And going back to their 2009 release, Post Nothing, that was so juvenile at times, but it had all of this raw energy. And I remember, like, that was actually an album that Tom and I talked about that led to the creation of Velocities in Music back in the day, because I really liked it. Tom didn't like it so much at the time, but I think you've come up on that one a little bit.
Yeah. I think you still like it more than I do, but I love Celebration Rock.
Right. Celebration Rock was really where they shed their juvenile skin and became like a real band. This song, what I love about this is it combines the both of the best aspects of their previous two records and kind of showcases it. It's a longer song. It's almost 5 minutes long, which shows how they're growing as songwriters, I think, and just being able to execute a longer song that never gets dull. And it has this upbeat edge to it. And the song is kind of telling this story and has a very upbeat poppy chorus that I really like, without losing any of that rock edge that the band is really known for at this time.
And I think an argument could be made that Arc of Bar deserves a spot on this list as well. It was just below our top 30. Really, I think arguably those are the two key highlights.
Both of us love those songs.
Arc of Bar is a longer, more experimental song that I think is much more forward-thinking, but I agree with you, Jake. What makes the title track from Near to the Wild Heart of Life so memorable is that it does have that more mature sound and performance, but man, you can't help but get behind just that young kind of like pubescent lyrics in the chorus. You know, I think everyone can relate to that. Number 25 on our list is Please by Blank Mass. Blank Mass is the alias of Benjamin John Power, member of the electronic drone band Fuck Buttons. Blank Mass's album World Eater from 2017, to me, was one of the electronica highlights of the year, and Please was the highlight from that album. This is a song that showed up on both me and Jake's list. We both love this one. Long, like around 7.5 minute long, just sprawling, growing electronic song with really great vocal samples that he works into the mix. They sound like almost a little bit like low bit rate and kind of odd in the way that it works with the rest of the song, but this song just gets so frenetic and energetic that I love the energy that's created by the end of it, working in those vocal samples and just building the beat and the intensity. Just one that I loved listening to every time I put it on, and I have to give him credit too. When I was listening through this playlist on shuffle in my car with my wife, that song came up, and she even loved it.
That's awesome.
Which she's not really even into that kind of music. So whenever that happens, I take note, and I'm like, yeah,
you know, something's good happening
here. Yeah.
At number 24 on our favorite songs list of 2017, we have Beck with the song Dreams, Colors Mix. Now, Dreams, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, this came out in 2015?
It did, as a single. He released this and Wow as singles long before this album actually came out. Now, I think that we can get away with putting this on our 2017 list, since technically the colors mix is a little bit different. Really, the main difference is actually the original song dropped some F-bombs in the bridge that he then took out, which to me, I interpreted as all a part of, Colors being a pretty poppy album,
Yeah.
right? Probably just wanted to make it as accessible and remove any hoops that could prevent it from getting to as many people as possible.
Now,
but
Colors is the 13th studio album by Beck, and
That's
we
crazy.
haven't covered it on the podcast
no,
yet.
let's talk about it a little.
It didn't make our favorite albums list,
No.
Tom. Why is that?
So this album is quite polarizing amongst critics, amongst Beck fans, and I totally understand why, because it is without a doubt the poppiest thing that Beck has
and
ever
that was
done.
what he was going for.
It is absolutely what he was going for. He worked with Greg Kurstin as a producer, who is a pretty notable pop producer, and even co-wrote some of the songs. So, I mean, Beck knew what he was doing, and every album he sets out to do something a little bit different. Now, to me, I'm kind of in the middle. I didn't love the album, but a lot of people that hated it, I don't really agree with them either, because I found that there were a lot of redeeming tracks.
Yes.
This is an album that not to dive too deeply into a review of the whole album, we'll get back to Dreams as a song, but it goes hand in hand with this, because I think that Colors was an album plagued with some weak tracks, but the highlights were so strong.
Yes, and this is certainly one of them.
This is certainly one of them. This and Wow to me, which both came out a couple years before the rest of the album. But to me, what I love about Dreams is it's just Beck having fun. Beck is a musician that knows how to have fun but still be serious about his craft. And when it comes to crafting pop music, it's really not an easy thing to do. What I love about Dreams is the vocal hook is very catchy. The melody's great. It's well performed. But man, that guitar line that comes up in the chorus, that kind of arpeggiated guitar line, just sounds so smooth. It gets stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I just found this was a really infectious and uplifting song. Number 23 on our list is The National, The System Only Dreams in Total Darkness. Interesting song title. And I think a pretty cool step forward for The National. This was a single, came out before the album Sleep Well Beast, and I was excited when I heard it because I felt like it brought some of the energy back to the instrumentals and some of that high-pitched range to Matt
Well, you heard
Berninger's
guitar.
voice.
You heard guitar come back for the first time in I think a couple albums. It's
Pretty
been a
much.
while since we've heard guitar from The National, and I think that was the most exciting thing, because you have that little riff that is just repeated throughout the song. It adds just this crunch of intensity that keeps getting dropped throughout the song. So you have these really nice kind of piano parts being played, and then Matt Berninger's vocals. He's going into that upper register at times, and it just like it's a very melodic track, but then that guitar crunch just offsets it perfectly, and that creates this tension and that's somehow balanced at the same time. The other thing I like about this track is it kind of starts in one place and then ends up somewhere completely different than when it started, and that shows a lot of craft in the songwriting, and I think that The National really exemplified their songwriting skills with this track. At number 22, we have Don't Delete the Kisses by Wolf Alice. Don't Delete the Kisses comes off the album Visions of a Life, which was on our favorite albums list. This song is a very kind of one of the more dreamier tracks on that album.
A little poppier, which I think is what's cool about it. Like
absolutely.
To me, Visions of a Life is an album with a lot of variety and a lot of good rockin' moments. Don't Delete the Kisses was memorable to me because it was one of the more vulnerable kind of dream pop moments that I just thought had a killer melody. Makes me wish I was at like a college dance party in the 80s or something, but it just has so much feeling behind it.
This song would have fit in really well on Stranger Things.
Yeah, or like in a John Hughes soundtrack. Number 21, we have Soak by Zola Jesus. Zola Jesus' album from 2017, Okovi, was very good. For me, Soak was the highlight. This is one of those tracks that's on our list because of me. This was like my number 5 of the year. And while Zola Jesus is an artist I'm not overly familiar with, I really liked the album, but just when I got to this song, man, this was a track I could just listen to on repeat. It's got this big electronic backing with Zola Jesus' very larger than life kind of gothic vocals. She's not, it's not like it's a heavy track, but it's kind of a dark track, but it still feels a little bit poppy in the sense that it centers around Zola Jesus is just gorgeously written vocal melodies. But man, the chorus of this song, guys, I mean, I could just listen to this track on repeat. In fact, I did at least a couple days there, because it's one that once I'm done with it, I just want to hear it again. So I highly recommend it if you haven't checked that track out.
Number 20 on our favorite songs list of 2017 is Cloud Nothings with the song Up to the Surface.
Up to the surface, release the air.
Up to the Surface is the opening track on Cloud Nothing's album from 2017, Life Without Sound. This album came out in January, and from the moment that I put it on, because this is the first song that you hear in the album, I have been waiting to put this on our favorite songs list of 2017, because I knew then that I loved this song enough that it would make our list, and that is totally true. This was my fifth favorite song of the year, and I cannot get enough of Up to the Surface. The song is a great opening track. It opens with this like really morose kind of austere piano part, very clean sounding piano, and then the electric guitar comes in matching the melody of the piano, and then the rest of the band comes in, and we just listened to this before we turn on the microphone here, and I'm not kidding, I'm like still covered in goosebumps from just hearing how such like a wave of sound just comes up over you, and then the guitar crunches and melodies that kind of follow. This song isn't Cloud Nothings doing that traditional sort of like rock, indie rock meets indie punk sort of sound that we've heard from them on previous records. This really shows them heading in a more like traditional, more mature rock standpoint. This song highlights how I think that you see a shift in Cloud Nothing's sound that goes to something more like the later years of Sunny Day Real Estate, kind of getting in that traditional rock and emo sound into their music. A lot of great guitars, a lot of great vocal presentation, and just overall, what a perfect way to open up a great album. Number 19 on our favorite songs list is Haley by Big Thief.
When it gets you down, when you get that notion, anyway you walk around.
I'm doing two in a row here because last song was fifth on my personal list, and this is fourth on my personal list. I love the song Haley off of Big Thief's album Capacity, which came out earlier this year. This is actually track 9 on Capacity, later in the album, and this is just this very progressive sounding, acoustic guitar driven, I don't know, like, would you classify this as a ballad? It's really just like an acoustic singer-songwriter song.
Yeah, it's got a nice kind of mid-tempo feel. It doesn't feel slow or like morose like a ballad might, but it also like isn't overly, it feels a little sedated,
right? Absolutely.
But I love that vibe for it, but it's just got that constantly moving guitar, and it sounds really beautiful.
The constantly moving acoustic guitar is then mimicked by the electric guitar that comes in and then just adds a little bit of sparkle on top of it. But what is actually, and probably the reason why I love this song so much, is I feel like the female vocals, which come in and are just like kind of a whisper at the beginning, which slowly kind of build up and carry the intensity of this song, just do a masterful job of conveying melody. This song, when I listen to it, is stuck in my head for the rest of the day, and therefore deserves to be on our favorite songs list.
And number 18, we have Brand New with Waste.
Well, every night you were tripping out, and in the morning you were coming down. If it's breaking your heart, if not
Waste is the third track off Brand New's album Science Fiction, and it's a good example of what Jake and I were talking about on our albums podcast. This is an acoustic guitar-driven song primarily, but what they're doing with the electric guitar when it comes in is it adds just a little bit of intensity and atmosphere. But what really sells the song for me is the vocal performances, both in the verse and the chorus. The chorus has a really memorable melody and just a lot of feeling packed into it. All around, this is just a really strong track. And number 17, we have My Balloon by Gabriel Garzón Montano.
I'll get back on my balloon and meet my baby on the moon.
This is just a great kind of poppy R&B track. It's really bright. It's really an uplifting song. It features just a killer vocal hook in the chorus. It gets stuck in my head. I also just love that there's something just kind of childlike about it. This song has just this kind of innocence and naivety to it that's just very endearing. But also from a more musical standpoint, I love the piano accents in the verse. I love the kind of off-kilter auxiliary percussion-driven beat. The bass line is great, has this great accidental it moves to at the end of the chorus line. I just think everything here is constructed so deliberately into something that works really well together and makes for a very memorable track.
At number 16, we have the song Boyfriend by Marika Hackman. We're still going with Marika, right, Tom?
I guess.
Okay.
So we just got to write it out, man.
There's nothing, no turning back now.
Yeah, we almost don't have to say her name again for the rest of the year.
Until she releases another awesome album.
Yeah.
So her record from this year, Marika Hackman's record from this year, I'm Not Your Man, was a very, very good record. Did that make our list?
Yeah.
I think it made our list.
We're high up, man. It was like number 5.
Oh, yeah, it was really good. We both really liked that album.
Yeah.
So this was one that I kept coming back to throughout the year. And one of the reasons why I kept coming back to the record throughout the year was songs like Boyfriend. Boyfriend is the opening track on I'm Not Your Man. And it opens up. And this really isn't that complicated of a song. It's a pretty straightforward A-B format. But what absolutely makes this song worthy of being one of our favorite songs of the year is just the great melodies that you hear in the guitars. The song opens up with just this super catchy guitar melody that then comes back later on in a grander fashion in the chorus. But little songwriting tricks that Marika Hackman shows off in the tracks like Boyfriend are what make her music so special. In particular, she does a drop chorus right before the full chorus comes in that is just a palm muted electric guitar that then the drums come in and build up to the chorus that is very kind of almost dreamy and whimsical while still driving and rocking with her very kind of sweet sounding vocals. But then she adds these like 4 like guitar and drum hits at the end of the 8-bar phrase in the chorus is boom, 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 boom. And it just has so much edge to this very sweet sounding thing. So that kind of that kind of dichotomy between the edge and the sweet soundingness, like that's what sells it for me. That's what makes this really addictive. At number 15 on our favorite songs list of 2017, we have a song by the artist Jay Som called The Bus Song.
You say you don't like the smell, but I like the bus. I can be whoever I want to.
Interesting name to the track.
Yeah. I like it, though.
I do, too. It's quirky and cool, and this is totally a Jake song.
Makes that lyric pop out more, too.
Absolutely.
Naming it that.
Yeah, absolutely. This song, to me, was kind of a love at first listen sort of song, and I latched onto this song and haven't let it go since. It really gave me like this kind of indie rock vibe that was very popular in kind of the early to mid-2000s when I was really getting into music. And I remember latching on to an album by the band Someone Still Loves You, Boris Yeltsin, their first album Broom, had a number of tracks on it, and this song, The Bus Song, reminds me of that, but actually with more mature songwriting. These guys are clearly crafting this song. It's an indie pop tune. You have some really nice guitar melodies, and then when the chorus busts in, they do a nice job building up to the chorus. When the chorus busts in, you have this almost kind of like, it's like a half beat behind, so it just feels very whimsical, and you're kind of tripping over the tempo, and it just makes you kind of bob your head to it and really get into the melodies. Great song, my favorite song of the year.
Number 14 on our list is the first track from the new Queens of the Stone Age album. It's called Feet Don't Fail Me. Feet Don't Fail Me is a really great rockin', groovin', even danceable track. On Villains, Josh Homme takes Queens of the Stone Age's David Bowie worship to a whole new level, and you hear that on this track, really throughout the whole album. Sounds like it could have come straight out of Bowie's Berlin trilogy of the late 70s. But Feet Don't Fail Me Now starts out with this kind of weird atmospheric intro with some very retro-sounding synthesizers, and then just busts into this dancey beat with this fucking like disco guitar part. It's great. And Josh Homme's vocals are as edgy as ever. I even like Mark Ronson's production style on this song, and really the whole album. I think it works because Mark Ronson as a pop producer, a little bit of a tangent, I appreciate that he doesn't ignore the mid-range. He's not all about booming bass and sparkling highs. He gets that gritty guitar mid-range sound that I think benefits Queens of the Stone Age really well. Now, while Jake, I think you liked the album as a whole much more than I did, we can both agree that Feet Don't Fail Me is a really, really great track from 2017.
Absolutely. At number 13 on our favorite songs of 2017 list, we have Kendrick Lamar with the song Fear.
That homework better be finished. I beat your ass. Your teachers better not be bitching about you in class. That piece of better not be wasted. You eat it all. That TV better not be loud if you got it on. Them Jordans better not get dirty when I just bought them.
Fear. This is probably one of the more abstract songs on Kendrick Lamar's 2017 album, Damn.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like this as our one of our favorite songs pick, and actually this is the only song from Damn that actually showed up on our list. But
which I think part of the reason for that is just because there are so many good songs. You and I picked different ones, and this one had the highest overlap.
Yeah, I think that you could pick so many of the songs off of this record. My personal favorites were DNA, Ya, Humble, and Fear. And
see,
I think
I really liked Element and Love.
Yes, so yeah, and I think Fear is just the cross section where we both just really love this song. What makes Fear such an interesting song on Damn is Damn is a much more straightforward hip hop record for Kendrick Lamar, but Fear is one of the more experimental songs on this record. It opens up with a phone conversation that he has, this whole conversation that's kind of speaking to Kendrick and kind of forces you to kind of self-reflect a little bit, but then Kendrick comes in over this beat. This beat is just a very simple drum beat with this kind of funky electric guitar going on in the background with like a woman doing a falsetto, but it's very much in the background because what you hear is Kendrick Lamar's just almost fiery but still subdued vocal delivery, and some of the best lyrics on this entire album are found in this song. This is the track 12 of 14 on the album, so it's definitely buried in the back half of the album, but it's a real gem and highlights just how good of an album Damn was.
Number 12 on our list is Ascension by Gorillaz.
Falling, baby, drop that ass for a crash. The sky's falling, baby, drop that ass for a crash. The roof is on fire. She went like Barbra Streisand.
Ascension is track 2, but really the first proper song on Gorillaz' new album, Humans. And this song is all about Vince Staples.
Yep.
Like, his vocals kick in from the first second of the song, and he just carries the whole thing. And he has a great personality for this song. It's got some attitude to it, but he's also just kind of having fun. And this has a hook that will stick with you. A great little well, not really guest spot, but a little feature of Damon Albarn's in the vocals. This, as the opening track, is a key reason I kept coming back to Humans as an album.
Yeah, it was just so dancey, and what I love about this is it's strange where hip-hop actually feels dancey, but I think that's what Humans kind of achieved on the whole, especially in the front half of this record, and it's tracks like Ascension that really kept me coming back as well, Tom. At number 11 on our list, it's a Gorillaz doubleheader because we have Saturn Bars from the album Humans.
All my life, me ever have my gun, so me have to move sharp like me knife. All my life.
All my life.
I thought you were going to say something.
I was just going to do that.
You just looked like you were about ready to jump in.
Just gonna
You just wanted to sing, though, and I understand that because this is a song that you want to sing, too. I think that this ranked higher than Ascension, but I think both of these songs were on our list.
Right, yeah.
We both just loved both of these tracks, and I think that Saturn Bars, what makes this really cool, is the it's kind of a moodier song, but the beat is what really gets me. It has a absolutely killer beat. It's a little bit slower, and then the vocal part in the chorus is really catchy. Pumpkin, his vocal delivery on this song as the featured artist of this song, he does a great job of presenting, and he's kind of singing, kind of rapping at the same time, but it's his vocals are auto-tuned, which I actually really like. It gives it kind of this
good effect for it.
Yeah, it gives it this digitized effect that works really well with everything that's going on in the mix. These two songs are just our favorite highlights from the Gorillaz album, Humans, that came out in 2017, and we really like both of them.
All my life. I'm going to auto-tune that.
Are you really? I wouldn't be surprised. Number 10 on our favorite songs list of 2017 is Whisper, I'll Listen to Hear It by Spoon.
Come on, give me some spirit. Don't talk too much to get me excited. Whisper, I'll listen to hear it.
Whisper, I'll Listen to Hear It is one of my favorite tracks off of Hot Thoughts, between that and the title track. What I really like about this song is that it really exists in two parts. About a third to halfway through the song, it actually shifts in sound pretty significantly, but still keeping within the same kind of umbrella of what they were going for. The song opens up with a more electronic feel. It was something that Spoon was experimenting more with on Hot Thoughts, is bringing in electronic melodies, and it has this kind of like pulsing, tense beat to it. And then Britt Daniels' vocals come in, and he starts to sing out, and he just has this natural kind of grovelly voice to it that adds a nice edge to it. But then more and more instruments kind of build in, and then the song shifts. You get kind of this whistly sound, and then the drums come in, and you have this huge kind of rock out section. This song really reminds me of Radiohead at times, and that was not surprised considering Dave Friedman actually produced this record, and he's worked with bands like Flaming Lips and Mercury Rev, who are both in kind of that same sort of genre. So it's not surprising to me that we saw more of Spoon experimenting with more lush compositions, more electronic elements, more progressive song structures, and Whisper and I'll Listen to Hear It is just an example of how they executed that new sort of direction in such a high level.
Number 9 on our list is Beck with Dear Life. I loved this track from the moment I heard it. I actually heard it a little bit before the album came out. It was a single that he released before the album, and I love just the driving piano sound of this. It's of course, as it came from Beck's album Colors, it's a pretty poppy track, but
very colorful.
Yeah, I would say so. But the vocal melody in the chorus is terrific. Very memorable. I love the piano chord progression that's driving the song, and really it's just as simple as that. But actually, one of my favorite parts of the song is the very Beatles-esque guitar line that comes at the end of the chorus. That gets stuck in my head almost more than the vocal melody does. It's just a really well-written pop song that I wanted to come back to again and again. Number 8 on our list is Magnificent, She Says, by Elbow.
It's this little girl. It's all gonna be magnificent.
Elbow is one of our probably combined favorite bands.
Oh, absolutely.
Love them. And Little Fictions wasn't one of their better albums, but it's still very good from a band that really hasn't put out anything bad. Magnificent, She Says, was the first single released from the album.
It actually was the first single, though, regardless of what she said.
She also says it's magnificent, and so do we.
Yeah.
So there you go. But then,
review over. Couple of idiots.
What I love about this song is Guy Garvey's vocals just soar over the mix, and actually his vocals here are pretty legato and smooth, but they're set against just a very quick moving, complex drum beat and some very fast-moving strings. And so I love the tension between those two aspects, but while this is still able to be a very uplifting and positive optimistic song. This is one I loved right away, and while I wasn't overly keen on Little Fictions as an album, it's pretty good, this song definitely stuck out.
Number 7 on Velocities in Music's favorite songs from 2017 list is Can't Get It Out by the artist Brand New. Can't Get It Out is the second song on Brand New's 2017 release, Science Fiction. This song is one of the more rocking tracks on Science Fiction, as we said in our albums list podcast. Science Fiction was a bit more of a slow, brooding album. They didn't have as many of the huge rock out moments that were definitely present on their previous albums, Daisy and Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. This is more of a moody, dark, slow-moving, brooding album, but it did have a couple of tracks that you saw some of that just natural energy that Brand New, and I think their fans look for them to bring to the table. Can't Get It Out has a pretty big chorus where you have Jesse Lacey's layered vocals and kind of screams that come out, and this song is really all about the lyrics and the guitar work that happens kind of in conjunction both in the verses and the choruses. What makes this song great to me is just how impactful and how the lyrics and the vocals get stuck in my head. I think this is a great kind of thesis statement for the entirety of Science Fiction, and I really like where they put this in the album, but what is also fantastic is how well this song stands on its own. It rocks the hell out, it's brand new to a T, and I love it.
Number 6 on our list is The Lost Sky by Jessica Hoop.
And when we said the words I love you, I said them 'cause they are true. Why would you say those words to me if you could?
The Lost Sky is the second track on Jessica Hoop's album Memories Are Now, one of our favorites of the year. And one of the things that makes The Lost Sky such a great track and really very representative of this album as a whole is how it chooses to approach the song from more of a minimalist perspective. This is a pretty simple song in spirit. It's mostly acoustic guitar and vocals, but the way Jessica Hoop layers everything, she has this very nimble, very delicate and intricate acoustic guitar going on with this just kind of palm-muted electric guitar that's supplementing that. And then the vocals have a ton of layers, a ton of harmonies supporting it. This is another one I mentioned when we talked about the album as a whole, Jake. I feel like combines elements of both like Joni Mitchell and Kate Bush, these kind of like artsy folk, pop, rock approaches that all come together to just make a song that's really moving. When you take her vocal performance in the context of the lyrics and what she's singing about, like you just really can't help but feel it. I think she sells it perfectly on this track.
Number 5 on our favorite songs of 2017 list is the song Pleasure by Feist.
Come to me now, babe. Clothes on babe. Built by what we got built for. As much
Pleasure
as
is the title track and opening track of Feist's 2017 album, Pleasure. And this, from the moment that I put on her new album, Feist's new album, Pleasure, I knew this was going to be one of our favorite songs because you can't really avoid it. Once you hear this song, you kind of quickly realize what she's doing and how impactful it is and how well she executed this. Pleasure is kind of a different take. It starts off with just Feist singing and just palm-muted electric guitar. And his song is almost 5 minutes long. It's like 4 minutes, 45 seconds long. And the first 3 minutes, the song just builds a little bit here and there. She introduces the chorus idea, which is a bit of a drop chorus. But really, the song is just kind of building. And about minute like 2 to 3, you hear a kick drum start to come in and settle on the beat. The muted guitar melody just keeps going, and Feist is singing over it. But all these other elements start to slowly swirl into the mix, and from minute 3 to like 3:45 it really builds up, and then it drops out, and then the song just takes off in this clangy electric guitar rock out with Feist screaming kind of over it, and it's just this chaotic mess. But there's so much tension being released at this point that you just don't care. Like, you're just messing up your hair, you're singing along, like, yeah, this is great. Feist totally sold this thing, and it was all in that execution of her vocal performance. The way she sings certain lines of this song just add just an ounce more intensity. It's all about control. It's all about the slow build, and she just executed this perfectly. What a great opening song to her album.
You know, and she keeps singing it's her pleasure, but I would say, Feist, the pleasure is all ours.
That's what we're here for.
It's a terrible way to end that. And number 4 on our list, we have the song Horripilation by Do Make Say Think from their album Stubborn Persistent Illusions. Horripilation is over 10 minutes long. It's a long track. It is a post-rock epic of 2017. And this song, what I love about it is that, well, it's constantly building and reducing itself, and there are many ebbs and flows. It actually carries a lot of the same musical motifs and chord progressions throughout, but the way that it's represented by the guitar, the way that the drums represent the various rhythms of the song, the effects that are used to create a sense of space and fill things out is just constantly changing. And then a little past the 6-minute mark, there's this lead guitar line that comes in that is just absolutely killer. It's such a simple part, but the way that the repetition lines up a little bit off from the rest of the song just makes such a mark. And I love all 10 plus minutes of this track. Number 3 on our list is Jessica Hoop, Memories Are Now.
I've got work to be doing. If you're not here to help, go find some other life to ruin. Let me show.
This was my favorite song of the year. This is a song I cannot get enough of, and it's really for pretty simple reasons. Similar to the last Jessica Hoop song we talked about, The Last Sky, Memories Are Now is a really pretty minimalist track. It just has a small auxiliary piece of percussion, a very percussive and rhythmic. I honestly don't know what it is, kind of like a muted like guitar or even a bass part that's driving it. And then Jessica Hoop's just gorgeously layered vocals that are so emotive. The melody is so well written. The lyrics are great. It's just a performance to die for. I cannot get enough of this.
There's honestly a lot of similarities between this song and Feist's Pleasure.
Yeah, that's true.
That I really, really like. They're both a little bit longer tracks that kind of build. And this is just a great opening track. It's a really fantastic way to open up a great album. Next up. Number 2 on our favorite songs of 2017 list. I admit it, we're cheating a little bit here.
A little bit.
Radiohead with Man of War. Now, we're not allowed to do a podcast without highlighting Radiohead in some way. It's just written in the rules of Velocities of Music when this podcast was thought about. We had to talk about Radiohead, and thankfully they gave us a reason to actually put them into our favorite songs list of 2017. Yeah. Earlier this year, Radiohead released their 20th anniversary box set edition of OK Computer called OK Not OK, and in that release, they released 3 different songs. And Man of War is a song that since it was, I guess, technically released this year, we're putting it on our list because it's a song that really, first of all, Radiohead's they have re-released this. I mean, there was kind of like bootlegs of this floating around for years, and a lot of fans thought that this was going to show up on albums since as early as like in Rainbows. But we never got a Radiohead release of Big Boots or now Man of War from them. And so finally, with this box set edition, they've redone the song. They've fully finished recording all this grand version of this song. And they finally released it, and what we have is just this absolute masterpiece. And what's really cool about it is they finished making this song recently, but it sounds like it's from the OK Computer era. Yeah. And it's like if Radiohead were to do kind of an album in the OK Computer style with a lot of guitars.
Please.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't that be great? This is what it would sound like. There are strings in it. You know, we had a lot of strings on A Moon-Shaped Pool. There are, you see a lot more clean production, that really tight production sound that we've heard on the last several albums, that you don't have that grit sound that you heard back on like OK Computer and the Bends when they were still kind of in that grunge phase. But Man of War is this epic of a song that kind of starts off, and the verses and choruses are pretty kind of subdued, and then it gets into this huge build into the bridge in the last chorus. I could gush about this song forever. It's a song that I've been waiting for since I first saw the documentary Meeting People Is Easy, when Radiohead was on tour. I get the melody stuck in my head, and they have absolutely mastered this song in this version. So I'm really, really happy they finally released it.
All right, we ready to reveal the number one song, Jake?
The number one
song 2017 is Hot Thoughts by Spoon.
Your teeth shining so white, light up this side street and Shibuya.
All in my mind, all of the time.
This song was in my mind all of the time.
All of 2017 since March.
Pretty much. This is kind of, I feel like, Jake, kind of an odd pick for us.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit of a simpler, poppier song. But I feel like it's just done right.
Yeah.
It's just done perfectly. What I think Britt Daniels and the rest of the guys in Spoon, Jim Eno and co have done is make really at heart a pop song that is so much more than that. It doesn't feel like it has a chorus, even though it kind of does. Mm-hmm. The instrumentation is always changing. You have this really slick electric guitar part that comes in and out. You have this great tambourine that comes and adds some movement. You have Britt Daniels constantly layered, like low register versus falsetto vocals that just line up so perfectly. It's an earworm of a track, and I love it.
It absolutely is, and I think a lot of that is due to the guitar melodies that you hear throughout it, just the main guitar riffs, but also like in the chorus, that backing guitar riff that you hear, that paired with this like driving beat that you hear throughout the track, just absolutely give this energy that you can't help but bob your head to it and get into it. Also, the production on this track is so fantastic. This thing sounds very lush and thick and really, really pleasing to listen to, and it was just a killer song from 2017. It set Hot Thoughts, which is one of our favorite albums of the year, off to a great start. It was a perfect opening track. Tom, it was really hard to pick just 30 songs to highlight in this podcast.
No kidding.
I feel like we could easily do like the next 30 without much effort, because there were so many that I feel like we had to bump out here.
Yeah.
But this was a great year for music. I'm very, very, very happy with how the year finished out, and hopefully 2018 has even more fantastic albums and a great song playlist at the end of the year. Thank you guys for your continued support and participation. Tom and I love all of your comments on our YouTube videos, Facebook message, and emails to us. Your participation is what makes Velocities in Music possible. So as always, thank you for being awesome. We'll see you in 2018. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
We are Velocities in Music, moving music discussion forward.